Okay, in the last video, I told you how to use a state node on a particular entity to figure out what the data was that was coming out of it so that you could use that data in an announcement or a text-to-speech announcement. By using a change node, we changed the payload to one of the attributes of the full message object. Then we use the service call to call a cloud say using the TTS domain on our PyCore player, which is our media player, and we said the message would be the payload were just turned on. And the problem we ran into is that this would be a message that came through whether it turned on or off, and we didn't want an off state to trigger an on message, so that didn't make any sense. So I'm going to show you how I can uh, drill this down a little bit more and get more variables to use in the announcement. So uh, when we get the change node here, when the message comes through, what I want to do is I want to set the payload. Let's first of all let's get a message. Uh, let's find out what we're dealing with here again, so we can review that. I'll deploy this. I'm going to clear the messages, and then I'm going to go over to my other instance of. Okay, so I've got state off. Now I've only got the state here. I just switched off the patio lights. If I turn them off and on, I get on, off, on, off, on, off, right? What I need is the full message object because I still want to know what's in this message completely. So let's clear that, and I'll go back over to the other screen and turn the patio lights on. Now I get the full message, and what I really want is the new state. I want to know what's the new state, and the state is on, because I want that string of text to be added to the message. I also want to know the friendly name. And so under attributes, I have the friendly name, patio lights. So we need to take this information and and make it accessible, easily accessible. And there's a gazillion ways to do that. But let's do this. Let's go to a change node and let's say change. We're not going to change the payload. We want to leave the payload the same. But let's say change message state. Oh, let's do this. Friendly name to, we don't need to change that. And let's add a new output and we'll do, let's say message state. We're going to change that to, what's our path? It's data, then it's new state, state. So we're going to go change the value to, we need to change this to message. We're going to go message.data.newState.state. Okay, and now let me disconnect this just for the sake of argument, and I'll connect this to the debug so we can see what's actually happening. I'll clear my log, and I'll go over to my other page and turn the patio lights off. Now, the payload is still off because we haven't changed it anymore, but we do now have two more values here, friendly name and state. So patio lights and off. Now, that means that we can connect our change node to the announce patio lights. And in the announce patio lights, instead of writing the payload were just turned on, we can write the friendly name. If I could type, friendly name were just turned state. Right? Now, because I don't want to make any noise in the house tonight, I'm going to copy this node and paste it down here. I'm going to change it from text to speech to a persistent notification so I can see in my console or in my UI here uh, what's actually happening. Notify, persistent notification, and I can just click done, deploy. And well, let's connect this here and let's deploy this. Now I have a bunch of persistent notifications here that I have already done in testing this, but what we're going to do here, let's disconnect the announcement and let's change the title of this to persistent notification, done, and one more deploy. clear the log. I'll go over to my other page and turn the patio lights on. And what do we get? Persistent notification was created. And what's the result? The patio lights were just turned on. So that's the message we're going to get if we use the message, the friendly name, or just turned state. Okay. Now, if we reconnect, make sure that we've got the same thing in here. When we reconnect this node to this node, we can delete the persistent notification because we know it works. We can delete the debug because we don't need to debug it anymore. And I can deploy it. Now, the announcement that will come over the text-to-speech will be exactly what happened. It will say the device were just turned, whatever it is, the state change. And that could apply to any device that you have. So if you wanted to drill this down to different devices, you could pick a different entity in here, and you're going to get the same results. You don't have to rewrite or recreate an entire automation to get that to work with um, other entities. And there's another way to do this where you can actually create um, a node that watches all events and then filters out only particular events and allows you to dial it down to more than just a single entity. You could do a group of entities, provided they have the same prefix, like lights. All the lights could be filtered through if I used a specific, what am I going to use? I would use a events all, but I'm going to filter that out. And that's what I'll show you as soon as I get to the next video. If this was helpful to you, let me know. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.